single office, multi-location, remote users, hybrid work.
Businesses are struggling. There's all sorts of options they're looking at in terms of cost cutting,
redundancies and reliability and all those things. It's extremely costly,
right?
And not to mention,
You're kind of leveraging that. And who would be some examples of some of these, these very large cloud providers? Thank you, everybody, for joining us to this very special podcast series that we're running around the whole communication space and cloud services. So I'm joined here today by the CEO of RingOffice, Kishan Chaudhary. Kishan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Raza.
So let me ask you some questions, Kishan, before we get into the topics around cloud and really what this means from an organization perspective. Tell me a little bit more about RingOffice. What does RingOffice do?
RingOffice is a communication and collaboration company. We specialize in the cloud, and we focus on small and mid-sized organizations.
Excellent. And what types of services is RingOffice doing for that?
We provide solutions for teams that need to, whether it's single office, multi-location, remote users, hybrid work, specialize obviously in solutions in the cloud, basically enabling teams and workers to be productive, be efficient, and enhance customer and employee experience across the organization, regardless of where they are, anywhere, anytime.
Right. And so let's get into the meat of this topic. So, we know the state of the economy today. Businesses are struggling. There's all sorts of options they're looking at in terms of cost cutting, trying to do more with less. Everybody seems to be talking about this whole model of outsourcing to the cloud, but there also seems to be just a lot of confusion on what does that mean. So from your perspective, being in the industry for as long as you have been, how do you look at this? Like, what does that mean when we talk about outsourcing to the cloud?
Yeah, it's a good question. Cloud is one of those things that by now, we've been doing this for several years, and by now, I think everybody who's in the business world has come to the conclusion that there's tremendous value in the cloud, and companies and organizations are moving their critical business applications to the cloud. There's a whole slew of reasons why. So that trend is irrefutable, and the end result, really, what the value proposition is that,
right.
You've got massive infrastructure providers that have invested billions of dollars in creating this amazing infrastructure, massive data centers globally, and to essentially take IT infrastructure and technology and commoditize it.
Right.
So with all of this infrastructure being, nearly ubiquitous, with presence across the globe, and with this infrastructure being so robust, so reliable, so secure, that they've been able to bring those economies of scale down to make it affordable for virtually an organization of any size.
Right.
So leveraging that versus the traditional model, which was, buying, it was very capital cost intensive of buying technology and deploying it, installing, maintaining, supporting it, securing it. And then having to worry about, redundancies and reliability and all those things. It's extremely costly.
Right.
And not to mention, the IT managers that are losing sleep over making sure that this is running reliably. And so those dependencies, those costs, and those risk factors, when you start to take them out of the equation,
right.
and you start to say, you know what, I can leverage all of this. I don't need to recreate this wheel. I can leverage all of this already in the cloud. And at the end of the day, I can do it cost effectively. And as an IT manager or as a business owner, kind of sleep better at night.
Sure. And I guess so it sounds like you're relying on organizations that are investing billions of dollars in the infrastructure itself, optimizing that infrastructure so that businesses can tap into, the best of breed of that infrastructure, as opposed to trying to go it on their own and do it themselves with their own data centers and own capital investments. So you're kind of leveraging that. And who would be some examples of some of these, these very large cloud providers?
Well, I mean, I guess the top three right off the bat are Amazon, Microsoft, and Google.
Right.
And there's very few organizations that can compete at that level,
Right.
right? With the amount of investments and reach that they have, right? So they've made it fairly straightforward and cost effective to be able to leverage all of that technology, right? So it really comes down to also understanding how this works, because I know that there is a little bit of people have a bit of a hesitation because at the end of the day, it's still tech. It's still technology. And you do, need to understand how it works and kind of have that skill set, right? So that's where a lot of the providers come in, right? That can facilitate that.